Bobby Woods gets dealt. Stafford locked up. The future again is now. DeShaun Watson stays in the AFC, and Matt Ryan may be going there. I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView for March 21st, 2022. And I'm Joe Terosian. I'm a sports writer, pastor, and I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. But we really want to get into the stuff that happened over the weekend and what's been going on. And there were some real, I don't want to say shockers, but yeah, I guess you could say shockers. But when you saw how everything was playing out, I don't think you couldn't be surprised. And I will say the Rams offseason got better again this weekend. We traded Robert Woods for Allen Robinson, in effect. Traded Woods, signed Robinson, traded Woods. Couple things to remember is Robinson is not Woods. I posted it over the weekend. You can see it at joet.com, joeterosian.com. I spread it around social media. Is when you look at all the grading and all the when you grade everything out, Robinson doesn't block as well. He doesn't run routes as well. About the one thing that Robinson has that might separate him from the average receiver is that he's better at contested catches. And so that may be something the Rams are looking at in regards to when you think again about Van Jefferson. There were more than a couple interceptions this year that Van Jefferson, his mindset is not to contest. And Stafford ended up with some picks. I think of the Super Bowl in the pick at the end of the first half. Everyone was on Stafford's case, but Van Jefferson didn't help his quarterback out on that play. And I know Van Jefferson had the kid on his mind. He had, he's been pretty banged up. But I think that might be one of the reasons. But no, I would still say Woods is better. But that's the decision the Rams made. Robinson goes at 6'3", 211. He is a big receiver, a big target, and he's had an excellent career despite having people like Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky throw passes to him. So you understand the move, and honestly, I'm not against the move. I think trading and getting rid of Robert Woods' contract was a great thing. It's just getting rid of Robert Woods, the person and himself, that does make it painful. But folks, if you've been around long enough, this is the price of fandom, right? Read the warning label. This happens. When I was a kid, I used to emulate James Harris in the mirror so I could have his throwing motion when I threw the ball. And then when he got traded, it was like, oh, this is terrible. Wendell Tyler getting dealt was brutal. You just see these Harold Jackson getting traded when I was a kid. It happens. It's hard to say goodbye, but that is the nature of the beast. And this has happened and will happen and continue to happen. As long as there's sports and money is involved, you don't get to keep your team together. Just remember, as we say, as I'm a pastor of a church, just as I usually tell people, you're family until you're no longer family. And that's the truth of it. But Robert Woods will keep making dough. Hopefully he has a good run in Tennessee. But again, you look at the AFC with everything that's going on, even Pittsburgh, for goodness sakes, to Rob Sword's loyal RamView follower out in Missouri, to his credit, the Pittsburgh's made improvements. Buffalo, Tennessee, the Colts right now there's some discussion about Matt Ryan leaving the NFC, another blow to the NFC, and going to the Colts and to get them over the hump with that roster that they have. And so then you didn't even mention the AFC West, right? And so there's a lot of talent there in the AFC, and it's going to be a bloodbath. Another thing that came up was the Rams did extend Matthew Stafford, which was a good deal. It was really good. They kept him. And if he stays healthy, it's a fantastic deal. His hit is 13 rocks this year to the salary cap. Next year, it still is only 20, and that is very highly underpaid to what quarterbacks are making nowadays. He could have taken more, or he should have demanded more. He could have demanded more. In 2024, 2025, and 2026, his cap hit is 49, 50, and 49 rocks. So it gets really expensive later on. But here's the deal. The salary cap got bumped up to 208. It's expecting to get bumped up each of the next few years because there's a new television deal coming. And let's face it, folks, baseball is not going to command what football commands. Basketball certainly isn't. This is a football world. It's a football culture. The NFL has won this war, and they're going to get top dollar. And they're getting revenue from Amazon, ESPN, NBC, CBS, Fox. Everybody has a piece of the pie when it comes to the NFL. And so that means as the salary cap grows, those hits of 49 and 50 and 49 rocks a year for Matthew Stafford. Now, all this is provided, please, Lord, let him stay healthy. It's not going to be as significant as it is because right now in 2022, we've got a quarterback who's crested 50, right? We've got quarterbacks who are in the 40s. The Cleveland Browns just broke the bank for DeShaun Watson. And even though he's not going to take a huge salary cap hit this year, he's still 230 guaranteed. And, we're getting Matthew Stafford at a real solid deal. And that bodes well because it kind of gives you an idea that Stafford, which he could have been asking for, Stafford is actually going for less. And so that keeps the Rams, again, viable. These windows of 22 and 23 are huge for the Rams because as Aaron Donald will be hitting year 10, year 11, Cooper Kupp, because he's only going to be like in year 6 or 7 at that point, but those hits add up, right? And so you want to take advantage of your window now. It's about winning now. The future is now for the Rams. And so you get what they did and why they do it. I don't like the idea of being OBJ dependent because my feeling is when we're talking about contracts and money, to go back to the receiver situation, is we have leverage. There's no market for OBJ right now. He's not going to play until November, and no one's going to give him top dollar. And even then, who's going to want him, and where's he going to want to go? He's going to go to the AFC, I guess, right? And because there a quarterback that he's going to want to play with in the NFC other than Tom Brady? And it looks like the receiving room in Tampa Bay is settled. So we got that happening with the Rams. Right now it's Kupp, Robinson, Van Jefferson, and then we're going to see, right? We're going to find out what's up with Tutu Atwell. And again, I think that's another thing that played into it is that we got to get rid of Woods' contract because Atwell's not going to play. There's not going to be any room for Atwell, and they got to find out if Atwell can play. I again am giving the benefit of the doubt to the team that's been to the Super Bowl, the administration that's been in the Super Bowl twice in the last 5 years, 4 playoff appearances, 3 division titles. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, at least here on Atwell, and see if something can develop. So we remain positive about that. Every day I kind of plan what I want to talk about, and then it ends up what I have to talk about. And some of these were the contracts, but I had actually circled the Rams cornerback situation because as our friend Nick Karavitas, our loyal RamView follower, wants the Rams to really look at a corner. And I thought, you know what? I talked about the free agents on the market. It was interesting. Kyle Fuller just signed. I talked about the free agents on the market and how they were too expensive for 30-year-old guys wanting double-digit rocks. It just wasn't feasible. And then who was in the draft pool in where the Rams are. I didn't really look at the roster and go over the roster heavy enough. But, of course, Jalen Ramsey, I think there were times Jalen Ramsey got caught being too aggressive. I love the fact that we could play Jalen Ramsey anywhere, that he moves all across the field. I thought maybe we got a little too creative with him early by using him on so many blitzes and such, but we know what Jalen Ramsey is. Again, the 22-23 window, these are still Jalen Ramsey's prime years, and that's why you got a great contract deal with your quarterback, not absorbing much of the cap, that allows the Rams to still have flexibility to see how the market looks mid-season, see how the market looks after September to make one of those OBJ signings or to make one of those Von Miller type trades. So we love Jalen Ramsey. The winning is now. David Long Jr., I believe, is entering the last year of his rookie contract. And so it'll be interesting. He played about 600 snaps last year, started off, I think he took the heat when he didn't have to take the heat on some of those plays. Our safeties were killing us early. Even Jordan Fuller, not only just Taylor Rapp. We were getting killed in some where Long should have had some help. Yes, he could have played better. And when he came back, he did play better, right? He had the pick 6 in the Cardinal game in the playoffs. David Long did play better. And so I think the Rams investment is something they're going to stick with him. They also like Robert Rochelle, who got into the lineup and played well, got banged up. He played about 230 snaps. Nice for a 4th rounder. They like him. He's talented. He's physical. He's got long arms. So I really believe the Rams are going to dance with David Long Jr. and Robert Rochelle. And one of the things that went under the radar, and if you look around some of the the sites, it's not reflecting it, even on Pro Football Focus, is the Rams re-signed Dante Dion to about a $900,000 contract. Dante Dion played really well for the Rams. In fact, when you hear some of the other podcasts, really good podcasts out there, there was talk that when Darius Williams was struggling, that Dante Dion was going to get elevated playing time until D-Will kind of picked things up. So Dante Dion played very well mid-season for the Rams. He's tough. He contests, throws, and he was a little banged up at the end, but the Rams did re-sign him. So the Rams are coming back with an all-star corner, right? A Hall of Fame type corner in Jalen Ramsey, but with David Long, Robert Rochelle, Dante Dion, guys who have played significant snaps for the Rams. After that, though, it gets a little dicey. If you remember Kareem Orr, remember when everyone got COVID positive at the last minute, right? It was almost like the league said, hey, we need a better game in Arizona. Let's make some Rams COVID positive so they can't play. I know that's conspiracy, but hey, it's the age of conspiracy. And they had to activate Kareem Orr, throw him on the plane, get him to Arizona. He did a yeoman's job, but he only played those 40 snaps all year. He has history with the Titans in 2019 and 2020. He's still on the roster. Grant Haley has experience with the Saints and the Giants. He played 7 snaps last year. Antoine Brooks, which you just read, the Rams brought him back. He was a 6th-round pick of the Steelers in 2020, where he played 29 snaps, but he didn't play a snap last year. And neither did Tyler Hall, who was with the Falcons in 2020. So these are the names: Kareem Orr, Grant Haley, Antoine Brooks Jr., Tyler Hall. None of them played any significant moments for the Rams. None of them were draft picks of the Rams. They were all free agents. And so it'll be interesting. You know, they might not even make the roster. Not all of them are guaranteed to make the roster right now. But that's what the cornerback room looks like. I'm positive on Long and Rochelle. I know a lot of people aren't, but I'm positive on them. And Long really got, for the first time this year, significant snaps on defense. And so I think there was going to be a curve. I think there's going to be a curve with Rochelle. And Dante Dion's just going to be aggressive because he's hanging on to the league by dear life, and he really worked his way into a second contract here with the Rams. So I don't think the cornerback room is great, but I think the cornerback room is decent enough, and especially if we get our act together on the back porch with our safeties. We can't mess around with Taylor Rapp anymore. Okay, and we'll get into that on another day. But your safeties have to be solid in coverage so these corners aren't hung out to dry. Amen. And all of God's people said amen on that. So we'll come back and talk corners. And then one of the things I like to look at all the time, and when I do From the Ram Cave from now on, I'm probably going to post more frequently shorter snippets than wait till Friday, because when I wait till Friday and I accumulate all this information I want to get out there about the Rams, it just turns it into a War and Peace length novel. And I just want them to be short bites. Rams Wire is very good at this. I think they're a little too short, but I think it's a good model to follow. Just short bites, quickly consumed, and kind of moving on. I'll try to do that. Sometimes we all, as sports writers or writers, you get diarrhea at the fingertips, right? And such. So when I'm looking at the mock drafts for the Rams, I'm still seeing offensive line and edge being the thing they're going to be focusing on. It makes sense right now. I don't see them taking an off-ball linebacker until at least the 5th round. Some of them have them projected taking an off-ball linebacker at 104 with their in the 3rd round. But that's what Ernest Jones was last year. And they re-signed Trayvon Howard. I could see them taking a linebacker in the draft. I don't see them taking one in the 3rd round. Offensive line, absolutely. Right now, your backups are Alaric Jackson, Tremaine Ankrum, and a disappointing Bobby Evans. I think the Rams are still very high on Jackson and Ankrum. I don't know if they're still high on Bobby Evans. He actually was, I think, a 3rd round or a 4th round miss by the Rams. He just has not developed. He's been around since 2019. We'll see. Maybe he gets it together, but so far it just hasn't happened. And he was slated to be the right guard last year, and Austin Corbett was going to play center, if you remember that. And that experiment ended pretty early. And I don't think it was because Corbett couldn't play center. I think because Evans just was overmatched at right guard. And so we're going to see what takes place there. So the Rams should be looking at an offensive lineman in the draft. And we're going to talk about a couple of mock drafts that popped up. They need to fill the edge on the other side of Leonard Floyd. Again, Von Miller, Von Miller's gone. Justin Hollins and Terrell Lewis are going to get the first crack at that, share snaps. We'll see. Chris Garrett is a long shot, but the Nelson Spruce of 2021 should get a longer look this summer. But expect the Rams to take an edge. It's very clear. All the drafts are showing that is the trend. Everyone, all the draft gurus, the draft sites, they're all showing the Rams taking an edge. And I got some new names to throw at you. Loyal RamView follower Dale Cook, man, he's the guy that leaves comments on my website. Thank you, Dale. Asked me about a punter, and I went and looked it up. And sure enough, in one of the mock drafts, boom, Jordan Stout, punter, Penn State, is showed as being taken in a mock draft by the Rams at 251. And there's also some interest in a guy down in San Diego State, Matt Ryan, but we'll get into that. The interesting thing about Jordan Stout was he played in the Senior Bowl, and the Rams. When you want to kind of figure out where the Rams are going in the draft, I've said it before as we hit the 16-minute mark, is the Rams. It's going to be what they need, and then who played in the Senior Bowl, and then look to see if you could match those up, and then look to see who's been where. And right now, keep your eye on Kentucky players because Liam Cohen, the new offensive coordinator, just left Kentucky. And one of the mock drafts has the Rams taking 2 players from Kentucky, and we'll get to that here. But I wanted to shout that out to Dale Cook as Jordan Stout popped up on the board. Okay, from a March 13th mock draft, again, this name appears over and over again. Matt Willetsko, offensive tackle from North Dakota. He's in bold on my sheet because he played at the Senior Bowl. New names that appeared in the 4th round at 142 is Alex Wright at edge from the University of Alabama, Birmingham. He's a big dude. A linebacker, off-ball linebacker, Zacoby Mclean out of Auburn. Sixth in the first of the Rams' 3 6th-round picks are Vincent Gray, cornerback from Michigan, Cordell Volson, an offensive tackle from North Dakota State. So Willetsko's North Dakota, Volson is North Dakota State. And then at 213 in the 6th round, Mike Rose, a linebacker out of Iowa State. He's an off-ball linebacker, but guess what? He played at the Senior Bowl. Isaiah Weston, wide receiver, Northern Iowa. And then at 251, 7th round, Jordan Stout, Penn State, Senior Bowl participant. Then I looked at a March 19th mock draft for the Rams, and this is from Draft Tech, I believe. And they have the Rams taking an off-ball linebacker, Leon Chanel, inside linebacker, Wisconsin, 6'2", 260. And that one, again, makes me, I don't know if the Rams are going to spend a 3rd, 4th, and 5th round pick for an inside linebacker. And again, that's the whole Bobby Wagner story is, one, if you sign him, I don't know if you're going to do that. But then the other aspect of it is that, this is not a premium position anymore in the NFL. The age of the linebacker, the middle linebacker especially, is done. They have to be cover guys. They have to be able to pick up guys at first level and hang with them for a bit. And those guys are not super expensive, and they're not too hard to find. Rams won the Super Bowl. I say it again, with Ernest Jones, a number 103, 104 pick, and a free agent named Troy Reeder. Okay. It would help to have Bobby Wagner. Yes, we'd love to have him at the right price, but I don't see the Rams taking an inside linebacker at 104 for a 2nd year in a row. The next pick is Daryl Rosenthal. He's an offensive tackle, 6'7", 327. And guess where he went to? He went to Kentucky, same place as Cohen was the OC at a year ago. Isaac Taylor Stewart, this is about the 4th time he's popped up on the board as a cornerback out of USC. So you get a trend there. There's the corner that Coach K wants, and that's a name that keeps repeating itself across all the different mock drafts. Aaron Mosby is another edge player, Fresno State, 6'2", 248. Marquand McCall, DT, Kentucky. Now, Marquand McCall is an interior DT, nose tackle, Vince Wilfork type of guy. Went to Kentucky. He's 6'3", 379. His size alone demands that he be drafted. And if he could play just a little bit, boy, I'd love to have him on the roster, learning for a couple years, and then maybe getting some clicks out of him in 2024, right? Wouldn't that be cool? This is the first I've only seen 2 quarterbacks being listed as the Rams maybe being interested in mock drafts. A guy named Caleb Elby quarterback out of Western Michigan, 6'1", 250. I don't know anything about him. But the only other one was Brock Purdy out of Iowa. Iowa State was the only other name that popped up in terms of the Rams looking at a quarterback in this draft. The Rams have only drafted one quarterback the whole time that Les Snead has been here. So that tells you something in terms of how the Rams look, how they're going to fill out their roster with a backup quarterback. The 238th pick in the 7th round projects the Rams taking Chris Paul. He's a guard. That's not the Chris Paul for Arizona, for the Phoenix Suns, but this one's out of Tulsa, 6'4", 324. He's got the size. It'll be interesting to see if he can develop. But Chris Paul was a Senior Bowl participant, so he bears mentioning and vision. Jaquari Robinson, wide receiver, Wake Forest, 6'1", 182 at 253. And that kind of rounds up the mock drafts. I'm going longer than I wanted, so let me zip through these things real quick here. Former Rams who are back on the market. Gerald Everett only signed a 1 year with the Seahawks, and he's a free agent. He signed a 2-year deal with the Chargers. Great deal for the Chargers. Everett gets to play with Justin Herbert. Nice job. Former Ram Case Keenum was traded by the Browns to the Bills for a 7th rounder. Former Ram Corey Littleton, who's left after the 2019 season, had a couple of rough years in Las Vegas. He signs a 1-year deal with the Carolina Panthers, who seem to be stocking up on former Rams. Austin Corbett signed there. Dante Fowler, former Ram, right, signed a 1-year deal with the Cowboys, and that's somehow, I think, supposed to offset Randy Gregory signing with Denver for the Pokes. But Fowler had his best moments with the Rams, but Fowler has not really panned out as a great edge player. I think he needs an Aaron Donald in the middle. We know Johnny Hekker signed a 3-year deal with the Panthers. Couple of ones that we are harping for early on that is no longer going to happen. Early before free agency started, I was clamoring for the Rams to take a look at Cordell Patterson, and Patterson re-signed for 2 years with the Falcons. And so he's off the market. Jacoby Brissett, the Norm Snead, Steve DeBerg of this generation, signs a 1-year deal with the Browns. Brissett, where has he been? New England, Indianapolis, Miami, and now he's in Cleveland. And then one that kind of surprised me, but then again didn't, in terms of the NFC West, was Carlos Dunlap was cut by the Seahawks. Now, Carlos Dunlap was picked up mid-season a couple years ago. He did a great job for the Seahawks when they were still a viable team. Last year, the Seahawks only had 39 sacks. Carlos Dunlap had 8 of them. 8.5 of them, and they put him in the street. So he's a free agent, but he's 32, has a lot of mileage. But again, he stays in shape. No, he's not a signing now. I don't know if I'd think about signing now, but he wants to come in at a dirt cheap deal, be in a rotation on an edge for the Rams, maybe come in September, October. Yeah, who knows, right? Who knows? But I don't think Carlos Dunlap is done. Hey, also, before we close up here, knock yourself out on DeShaun Watson. Great. I think what really helps is, 1, if he can get his feet under him. 2, if there's no suspension by the NFL, but the NFL is fraudulent anyway in everything it does in terms of suspensions. They don't make any sense whatsoever what they do. But if DeShaun Watson gets his feet under him, gets off the rust, he's only a $1 million hit this year, I think, because of the way his contract is structured. Cleveland can make some noise. He is a good quarterback. But again, I go back to, he won 4 games with the Texans. I think it's last year. The Texans only won 4 games last year. So I don't know sometimes if he moves the needle. Now, if he's on a great team, as with Matthew Stafford, we'll see. Okay. And then Matt Ryan, I think it's a little too late. I think the Falcons should have moved him 2 years ago. His contract just eats way too much of the pie. That guy, if he's really serious, if Matt Ryan is really serious about getting back to playing important football, that dude just needs to take his foot off the pedal. He's made his bread. He's made his dough. And I know guys have to make their dough, but he's made his. And isn't it about the ring? Isn't it about, the Matt Stafford model? Gosh, get me out of Detroit. He takes a reasonable contract with the Rams. Matt Ryan needs to think this way and then take that move to the Colts and see if he can do what Phillip Rivers and Carson Wentz couldn't. Okay, guys, like I said, I'm Joe Terosian. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at joet13b.com. Thank you for your clicks. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your subscriptions. Please hit like, share. And also, I wanted to remind you, also, as a sports writer for 20 years, most 21 years covering mostly football. I've also written I've written a few books, but these are the two I'm pushing right now. My new book is Sin Virus. It's an explicitly Christian novel. I am a pastor in my day job in a small church in Burbank, and then my high school football novel, which is Tangent Dreams. It also has another one called Temple City Company of the Ages. That is a bit of a follow-up to it. You can find those books on Amazon. I do not yet have any kind of significant following. I don't do a Patreon account. We're just kind of starting out here, and that's part of helping me sustain my income. If you give those books a look, it'd be awesome. All right, folks. Thanks for clicking on, and be sure to make sure.
It was a stone groove, my man. You are the most righteous. Yeah, right.
Okay, it was a stone groove being with you today, and I will see you tomorrow. God bless.